it's a game, but it's not fair. I break the rules, so I don't care. So I keep doing my own thing. Walking tall against.
Okay. First of all, I wanted to say thank you all for being here today. We are going to be sitting down having an intimate conversation with some guys who are firemen or retired firemen, but also a part of the Phoenix Society. Today we're meeting with the Phoenix Society. We want to learn more about the Phoenix Society. We had an opportunity to sit down with them and hear a little bit about them and watch a video that Cousin Steve and Lionel had provided for us. And we wanted to have a conversation with the gentleman. But before we get started, we'll go around the room so we can learn and ask, basically have the folks introduce themselves to you and tell us which firehouse they're located at. We'll start with you.
How you doing? Brian Riddick, TAC 1, Pearl Street, headquarters.
Ewan Sharif, Lieutenant Fire Prevention Bureau, located on Sisson Avenue.
Lionel Thompson, Lieutenant Special Services Unit, 275 Pearl Street, headquarters.
Steve Harris, Captain Retired, Special Services Commander, headquartered at home, 213 Cleveland Avenue. And I'd also like to I love Janice and the voices, but I'd also like to make a correction. We're not firemen, we're firefighters. We have females on the fire service, even before females. Firemen are those guys you see on trains shoveling coal in the engine. We're firefighters, the guys that kick down doors and suck up smoke.
Love to be checked. Good.
I'm not a firefighter, but I am the president of the Voices, and I'm Carla. How you doing?
I'm Brandy Hall, Voices member.
So thank you, Steve.
Yes.
Since we've been duly corrected, and rightfully so, because, that's one of our questions, how many women are members of the Phoenix Society. But before we talk about gender roles and how that gets played out in the fire department, I wanted to hear from you, because you are like one of the beginning founders, am I correct in saying that?
I'm not a founder. In this group, I'm the old.
The old school. Okay, let's call you the OG of this group.
But I am.
What is the Phoenix Society?
What is the Phoenix Society?
Yeah.
Phoenix Society is an organization of black firefighters. We founded back in '66, and we founded because, number one, when you come on the job that you're new at, you want to make sure that people around you that look like you are looking out for one another. And one of the things you got to understand is that anytime that we as a people transition into any job, it's difficult for us. We had very few folk who had done this before, so it wasn't like we had any real experience. So in order for many of us to survive, we just formed this kind of self-help network, and we just kind of looked out for one another. And then we started wondering, we said, well, if we're here in Hartford, and if we're here, I wonder if there's other firefighters, black firefighters throughout the country or throughout the Northeast. And we sent out some feelers, and Lord and behold, not only was there some black firefighters, but there was a black fire commissioner in the city of New York, named Commissioner Lowry. And we got together and we sent John Stewart and those guys. This is even before me, kind of, moseyed on down to the city and decided, look, let's send out some feelers all over the country and host a meeting of black firefighters. And we'll host it in New York. If you can get here, these are the dates it's going to be on. Let's talk about what we need to do to ensure that this job remains open for folks that look like us, and that we can not only get on the job, but advance on the job. And that was around the time that the country started experiencing civil disturbances. There was all this talk about ghettos, and all the ghettos was in our community, which is, basically not true. But what we also recognized was that the level of service, different. You go into our neighborhood, you're kicking down the doors, you're breaking out of the windows before you even try and raise the window to see if it'll open. You knock out a window, poor folks. We poor people, we working people, We'll fix it, but we don't have that kind of extra cash because you decided to tear up our place. You go in the white neighborhoods, the thing was check before you break, So we wanted to make sure that we made sure that when you got into our neighborhoods, that you understood that our stuff was just as valuable to us is y'all stuff is to y'all. And like I said, from that, and I don't want to, take up all the time because I want these young brothers to pipe in. But from that first meeting in New York, when we recognized that there were black firefighters all over this country, 1 and 2 here. And by the way, New York had about 100 and something black firefighters. But New York is so spread out that those guys are all over the place. So from that meeting came this idea, okay, let's meet in Hartford in 1970, because this was in 69, and let's see if we could form an association. So the first real convention of the Black Firefighters, it was a BFF then, the Black Firefighters Association, was held in Hartford. And from
what
that,
year was that, you said?
1969. And from that first meeting was born the International Association of Black Professional Firefighters. Hartford is one of the 5 founding organizations of the International Association of Black Firefighters. We have Hartford, the Phoenix Society, we have the Vulcan Society in New York, we have the Vulcan Pioneers in New Jersey, we had Valiants from Philadelphia, and we had the Vulcans of Hudson County, also in New Jersey. So I mean, we take pride in the fact that we have only one of 5 original charters, because we were chartered out of the state of New York. Phoenix Society is one of the 5 organizations that has a charter that talks about that. And if you look at that brother's IABPFF patch on his shoulder, you'll see a black fist, and that fist represents. Those fingers represents the 5 founding organizations.
Oh, interesting.
And if you look at how that fist, that white outline, that's the Arabic word for, I believe it was peace or Allah, something to that effect. So I mean, everything that you see that this organization is about represents who we are as a people. So that's just kind of a quick overview, because I don't like to say that.
I like that. Lionel, I wanted to follow up with you and ask, currently, how many members does the Phoenix Society have? And in response to being reminded that women now are a part of this, right? That they're firefighters, right? How many of them are women as well? And specifically women of color.
Okay. The Phoenix Society, well, actually, we have about 100 black firefighters in the city of Hartford out of 350. Okay. The Phoenix Society has 54 members out of that 100. So we have a lot of work to do with recruitment, retention, and so forth. We work on every day. As far as women in the fire service, we talk about the history of the Phoenix Society. The Phoenix Society started during the Civil Rights Movement. That's the reason why I'm indebted to my forefathers, and I'm proud to be a part of the Special Services Unit. We promote public fire and life safety education, but back in the 60s, when they had the Civil War unrest, the Phoenix Society went out to the neighborhoods, were mentors to the kids, started midget football leagues. The firefighters was one. They were the liaison between the community and the fire service. You used to see on TV with the fire departments down south using the fire hoses and attack dogs on people who were fighting for civil rights. And we wanted to make sure at that time that the citizens of the city knew that the firefighters in Hartford weren't doing the same things they were doing down south. So not only did the Phoenix Society help all of us get our job, and they also started this very integral part of the fire service, which is the Special Services Unit. Okay. With the 54 members that we have, we also were, the Special Services Unit was very instrumental with the help of Chief John Stewart at the time to hire the first women in the fire service. Not only the first women, but the first Latinos on the fire department. So he fought tooth and nail, the unions, the city hall, whatever he had to do, and let them know the importance of hiring the first Latinos. After a young man passed away on 7th Street, the garage collapsed, none of the firefighters knew Spanish. They mosey on back to the firehouse until someone who's bilingual came over and let them listen. There was a kid in there. So that let Chief Stewart know that, listen, we will hire Latinos on the job. So they are indebted to them also, and the society. At that point in 1982, I'm glad you brought it up, this year is the 30th anniversary of Women in the Fire Service.
Oh, okay.
Chief Stewart was instrumental in that also, okay? So he hired the first women. The first 2 were Zandra Clay at the time, Zandra Watley. We're going to be honoring her this year. It's the 30th anniversary. She's since retired as a captain of the fire marshal's office. But we're going to hold our event in June. It's our annual event, Phoenix Society Weekend. We're trying to make this the weekend of Hartford, okay? It's a 3-day event. Friday night will be a club. Saturday will be our annual dinner dance. And Sunday is a cookout in the park at the Pond House. Keep it in the hood for all your friends and family. So, with that being said, we have current members, 14 women in the fire service out of the 350 firefighters. And out of the 14, there are 6 black, 2 Hispanic. Okay. And we also have 2 of the first female pump operators promoted to that rank in the I'm believing in New England. It's definitely in the state.
Oh, so
I got Michelle Adams and Shelley Carter. Both were promoted this year. A pump operator is a driver.
Oh, that's the driver.
They're both drivers, 2 women, and we have no women, not just black, no women in the state of Connecticut that are pump operators.
But
at this time,
in the city of Hartford.
In the city of Hartford,
amazing.
Both of them.
But it's a little more than just driving because they maintain the pump. When we need water going to that fire, those sisters are out there manning those pumps, making sure that we got the right pressure on lines and water on the fire. So it's a lot more than just being a driver. And I also like to just jump in there because I think it's important to say this, that 2 things. Because I was around for both those events. That's when you know you're old, when you talk about you were around for those events. But when we convened that first convention at the Hilton, downtown Hartford, and we were forming the International Association of Black Professional Firefighters, the word got back to then Fire Chief that we were organizing a group of black firefighters to withdraw from the International Association of Firefighters, which is our union. Our international union is the IAFF, with the IABPFF. But the word was that the black guys are forming their own group to withdraw from the union. So the fire chief then, who was Edward Curtin, summoned our president at that time was Cecil, pump operator Cecil Austin, to his office and threatened to fire him. Was going to fire him. And when we found out, we sent word that if you fire him, then you have to fire all of us. Because first of all, what you heard is wrong. We're not forming to withdraw from the union. But if you fire him, you have to fire us all. And I also want to say that, Lionel talked about the introduction of females into the fire service, that Zandra Clay Watley, at that time she was just Zandra Clay, we called her Z, was, I remember when she was at Buckley High School doing the physical. We used to do the physical agility test at Buckley High School. And I remember looking across the floor, and you got hundreds of men in there, working out, trying to pass this. But I looked over there, and here's this sister in this short afro and these 2 knee-high sweat socks, and I'm looking at her, and then you could see that resolve on her face. And it was myself, at that time, Captain Nelson Cotto, who later became chief of the fire department. He was then commander of special services, and Aaron West, and we were saying, we have to protect this sister at by all means necessary, because there are going to be things that are going to that folks are going to try with her, because the fire service was resistant to women. And I want to be fair, because I've had to set some black firefighters straight on females, and particularly sisters. And as I like to remind folks, just like you saying that they don't belong, it wasn't too long ago they were saying that we didn't belong. So we're not going to get caught up in that kind of crap. We're going to look out for our sisters, and we're going to make sure they get a fair shake. And let me tell you something. I had the privilege of having Zandra Clay Watley work for me. She was so good that when I went on vacation, I left her in charge. And the sister, she was just one of the best firefighters I ever worked with. Male or female.
Let me ask you a question about that, because I remember when I was watching the video, something that struck out to me that Chief Stewart said was, this conversation, he was making a point about they didn't know which firehouse he was going to be in, because of the limited amount of beds for black firefighters. In terms of at that time when you had her as a woman firefighter, how did you guys reconcile the sleeping arrangements?
There was no reconciling the sleeping arrangement. The only arrangement that was made was we made sure that wherever the females were assigned, that they had a bathroom of their own.
Okay.
Now, if you got detail, then you know, detail means that if you go, they may be short at another firehouse. So we say, okay, we got enough people here. It's your turn to be detailed. Now you going over to another firehouse. Once you got there, and their officers are wise. Nobody wanted to be the officer that allowed something stupid to happen to any firefighter, but particularly a female firefighter, because that would cost you your career. So I mean, but there was and the females that came on really didn't want any special treatment. They wanted to be respected, obviously. The biggest concern was the bathroom facility. So I mean, in all the firehouses that I know of that have female firefighters, they had, you know, and if there wasn't, then if she was in there, you couldn't go in there. It was just that simple. Just like if you was home. You know, you don't go in the bathroom when your sister mother in there. You don't go in there when this firefighters in there. So, but no, I mean, it's amazing. I remember because the chief steward, who was probably one of the most innovative chiefs in the country, said, you know, this is new. So by it being new, we're going to educate our members. We're going to listen to what their concerns might be, members of the department. And it's amazing what some people will say. Well, what are we going to do with our books? Well, what books are you talking about? You know, the books we have on the watch list, the little girly magazines, first of all, you shouldn't even have them in there. So, and that ain't even an issue, you know? So, I mean, it's just, and, you know, once they got there, once Zandra got there, and Maria Ortiz, who was the other female that came on with her, got there, you know, let me tell you something, they held their own. And I can say this for Zandra, because I was, you know, we watched, she was our sister, so we watched over her.
Which we gonna have another show about that, because that's one of the things. Besides, you know, you being my cousin, and you know, me and you ain't always agreed.
That's true.
But one thing that I've always kind of totally respected, besides our relations as family members, is the idea that you see the need of protecting women, our women.
That
like,
shouldn't even be as a black male.
It is though. It is now though.
Question.
I know. I know.
I've said to brothers, we should be willing to die for our women. We should be willing to die for our women. And again, Zandra had such a support staff. And like I said, we made sure that I was at Phoenix Society meetings with, you know, something might be said. I said, no, we don't roll like that, brother. We do not roll like that. You have to clean up that language, and you have to understand. Don't get caught up in that hype, because it wasn't that long ago they didn't want us here. Let's do what we supposed to do and make sure she doing her job. Now we're gonna make sure she does her job. We're gonna hold her accountable, but we ain't gonna let nobody with her. You know.
How about you as a younger firefighter? You know, we've heard from Steve, who's retired. We know Lionel has been on the job for a long time. Lionel, 18 years now.
I gave this guy his.
He always told me you about to retire.
Yeah.
For you, what does the Phoenix Society mean for some of the younger firefighters who are coming up? And obviously have big shoes to fill, right?
I believe it's a great organization. It helped me tremendously coming up on the job. I feel as if it's a lack of leadership. That's why our generation is the way it is. And what the Phoenix Society did was it helped me mold me into the firefighter I am today. You know, it's very rare that you'll have a firefighter with 3 years on go down to the tactical unit. And because of the Phoenix drilling me, training me, and things of that nature, I was able to go down there, be effective at my job. You know, so it's very helpful.
So do you feel like the Phoenix Society has built an infrastructure or mentorship, is what I'm hearing from you, like the constant mentoring you, grooming you for the long haul of what, because I'm assuming running in all them buildings, running in fires or whatever, it will take a toll on you physically and mentally, because there are situations that, becomes sad. You know, we lose people in fires. And so has that been important to you to have someone that can kind of work through that with you? Because one day you may be faced with, I don't know if you already have, I'm just assuming maybe not yet, but, you know, there may be situations where, you know, there's a burning baby in there and we couldn't get all of the children, God forbid. But, you know, do you feel like the Phoenix Society kind of, in terms of not just mentorships and, you know, the physical part of it and understanding the policies of the fire department, but mentally and emotionally, how's that work? Because, you know, men sometimes, you know,
well, you have to understand
we hold it in, like, you guys hold it in.
Right, that the fire service is a macho service.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm getting to.
And I'll give you, for instance, I came on the job in March of 1970. I was at ladder 4 right here at 25 Blue Hills Avenue. And you were considered a firefighter if you put a mask on. A firefighter, man, you went in there and you sucked it up. And I tell you, my early years on the fire department, most guys have burns. We had burns on our ears because that's how you found out where the fire was. Because you got down on your hands and knees, on your belly, because that's where the fresh air was. Because we didn't have masks, and you crawled forward.
Wow.
And your ears indicated to you how close you was to that fire, because the hotter your ears got, the closer you was to that fire. And that was the, you know, I remember chiefs, we'd be down on the floor gagging and throwing up. We'd have these chiefs, man, standing up smoking cigarettes. Well, what are you doing down there? Get up, suck it up. Because, I mean, it was your skill as a firefighter was determined by how you could suck that smoke up. Really? Now, needless to say, there's a lot of folks who ain't here today that was here then. And they're not here today because they was needlessly sucking up, all of us were needlessly sucking up that smoke. Now, eventually, things got better because we realized that, hey, you know, this sucking up smoke stuff ain't the best thing in the world for folks' lungs and heart. So, you know, as I tell guys, you know, I said, listen, that's the only job I ever loved. And I didn't go in there, I didn't even want to be a firefighter. I was getting out the service and I knew I didn't want to go back to Pratt & Whitney. But somebody said to me, listen, the city's hiring firefighters. I said, man, I ain't running no damn burning building. You know, they said, nah, you know, do this, do that. And this was a brother who was on the job, a Phoenix Society member. Matter of fact, he caught me today. I just said, you know what? I'm tired of Pratt. I hadn't been back from Vietnam that long. I said, I'm going back in the service because I can't do this factory work. And I don't know what else to do. I was up at the corner of Barber and Cleveland Avenue, about to cross the street to catch the bus. And a fellow by the name of John Abrams saw me and said, Steve, where you going? I said, I'm going downtown to the recruiting station to re-enlist, man. I can't do this factory stuff. He said, no, wait a minute, bro. He said, you know, the fire department is hiring us. Man, I don't want to be no fire. I ain't running. He said, listen. He said, if you went to Vietnam, you can do this. He said, come to my house and let's talk. And I went to that brother's house. When I left there, I went down to City Hall, to the personnel department, put in the application, and voila, here I am talking about it now. But if it hadn't been for that brother, another Phoenix Society member who saw me, another black man, and took the time to, you know, give me a little on what was what, God knows what I'd be doing today. Because
so were you directed by someone in your community to become a fireman, or is that firefighter? Thank you, cousin.
I was actually my pastor is John Fortson Sr., better known as Bubba. I'm the drummer of the church, and I said to myself, he's also a Phoenix member.
Oh, he's a firefighter.
Yeah, retired firefighter. And he told me about joining because initially I was going to be a cop, police officer.
You look like you was going to be in some type of like public service type of
I gotta tell you, we don't play around. I gotta tell you, Steve recruited me.
Steve recruited you. Okay. So how did that go?
Went well. I was a chef for years, and that's what I did. I worked in the restaurant industry. I met Steve. I came in. In fact, we met at Al's. Right. That used to be the spot in town. On the weekends, we used to go there for breakfast. And my friends and I, was young, my friends and I used to go down there for breakfast on Saturday and Sunday. And I'd always see him. And he'd always say, man, listen, you need to come out and do something. And I was like, yeah. And he kept on telling me. And finally, one day I just went and I started talking to him like, Steve, what do I need to do? Talk to me. So he said, met up with me, we talked, and I'll be honest, I went, signed up. I didn't know how much the job paid, didn't care. I didn't know what I really was gonna do. All I knew was I was gonna be a firefighter. I didn't care. They were like, you're gonna have a pension, you got medical, you got this, you got that. I didn't care. After I got done talking to him and he sold it to me, all I knew it was better than what I was doing and I was going. It didn't matter. All I knew was he was like, I'm like, what? I could have a day off? I could call in sick and not get fired? What? It didn't matter. I went. Here I am today, 12 years later.
So basically is what you're saying, Cousin Steve, like and this is probably why Lionel, who you should be happy, Lionel's always trying to get the youngsters to apply, or and one of the young guys picked me up to go to a meeting, and all he talked about is how, well, Lionel, when we have time, not as a cadet, he studies, make sure he gives us different tests to prepare. So what I'm hearing from the Phoenix Society is that kind of like bringing in, that mentor, bringing in folks, that's basically your model, trying to develop folks aside from it. And I'm going to ask this question because I know you guys are very active in the community and want to hear about some of the things you do outside of that. But what I'm hearing and what I also seen on the video that Lionel provided me with Chief Stewart and them is this sense of pride of when you got somebody in there, now let's mold you. Let's continue on the growth to make sure that for the long haul, and then you have an opportunity, I guess, to pay it forward.
Not just an opportunity, but also an obligation.
An obligation.
And see, that's the key, and that's the difference.
Yeah.
And the thing that we do, and I hope they doing, is that we didn't wait till it was a test to go get cats to do applications. We would get the applications. We would go out, fill this application out. Mm-hmm. What's this for? 5. Fill it out. Mm-hmm. Fill it out. We'd hold on to it. Then when they announced the thing, the announcement for firefighter, we had a ton of applicants because we had already done the legwork. Mm-hmm. And I say this, and I tell people this today. I've always said, because like Sharif, I've helped a lot of young brothers and sisters, and many of them have said to me, Cap, what do I got to do for you? I said, you want to do something for me? Just like I reached out and helped you. You go back there and you get somebody from my neighborhood.
Exactly what he told him.
And you bring them on and you get them through, because that's the only way we're gonna make it in this house. Each one of us gotta get one of us. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we have a tendency to want to be the first and the only.
That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right.
I don't believe in that.
No.
I believe that we have an obligation as a people on this job, not only to ensure that our community is safe, but we need to be reaching down there, as you said to me about your 12-year-old son and your grandson. We need to go out, snatch them youngsters up, start getting them in the mindset that this is something that you can do. Because I'm going to tell you something. The worst decision I think the Hartford Fire Department ever made, and they haven't made many, but one of the worst decisions I think they ever made was when they said that our firefighters didn't have to wear their Class A uniforms to and from work. See, because when I came on the job, you had to put your Class A uniform on, go to the firehouse, change into your work uniform. Then at the end of your shift, you took off that work uniform, put that Class A uniform back on, and went home. And the reason I say it was the biggest mistake, because there was nothing more prideful for me than for our kids to see my black butt going to and from work in that uniform. Because it showed them that you can be from the hood and still do this. See, now cats go to work, they got on these little cargo pants. And listen, I'm old school, I'm an OG. I ain't with these shorts and all that other stuff. To me, that's real tacky. That's tacky. And I think it takes away from, our kids need to see us as firefighters and police officers, and I mean because.
And y'all look good in them uniforms.
I like to think so.
About the
Y'all
uniform.
look excellent.
But that's why we gotta
Like a
reach
man
out.
in a uniform,
Right.
especially African men. Yeah.
But that's why we got to reach out a lot more. You know what I mean? We got to give these kids some opportunity. Everybody can't go to college. It's financial. It could be poor performance in school. But to be a Hartford firefighter, all you have to do is be a city resident, 18 years old, high school diploma, driver's license, period. Okay? We need to do this for all public service. All right? We need more cops and firefighters that look like us, that pay tax base. You guys pay us. So we got to make sure we do the best we can for you. And at the end of the day, that's what the Think site is about. We're going to reach down, mentor these kids. We can't get all of them, but we can be a part of the community. When you guys call or any organization call, we need some powerful black brothers to come over here and talk to these kids and show them your toys and let them know there's a way out.
And along that note, let me say this because I think this is important. There's a, and you can jump in, and you and Sharif, because you probably know better than I do, because I just heard about it and I ain't too happy about it. There's a public safety school in Enfield, because I was approached by somebody from CREC who asked me, would I be willing to go out there and kind of act as a, and I said, okay, let me think about that one. I have been advocating, because see, I'm a firm believer that if you go around our firehouses, listen, I ain't gonna deny nobody a job, because everybody needs a job. But I'm a firm believer that, personally, I believe that you should live in the city that you work in. These jobs are middle class jobs. These jobs feed families, pay taxes. The majority of our taxes from our money that we as taxpayers provide for salaries are paying taxes in the Glastonbury's. And listen, you can live wherever you want to live. I don't care. My problem is that we have able-bodied young men and women that live here that can't get jobs because. But anyway, I've also said we're making magnet schools out of everything. Let's make a magnet school for Hartford school children in the emergency services, police, fire, and EMS.
Actually, I thought that's what they was doing
They're
with
doing
Quirk.
it with Quirk. They're still looking into it.
Well, see,
the mayor's definitely behind it.
All the renovating for Quirk, that was
what it's
supposed
for.
to be there.
Well,
That's what-
I did
because
see
actually
the
I
mayor
wanted
was talking about it, but Steve is saying that in
It's
Enfield,
already one.
it's already one
And I
there.
think they have to take 60% of Hartford students too.
but see, what the problem?
But it's too far. It needs to be here.
That's just the beginning of the problem.
Right.
Listen,
It's not only too far, but the staff out there,
Don't look like us.
it doesn't look like us. See, there's a cultural sensitivity.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you got
Everything.
our students in a school where they see us as the teachers or the whatever. See, we know how to deal with our kids. When our kids get a little crazy, we know what to do with them, you know? And we ain't in a hurry to get them arrested or thrown out of school. I mean, that's the last resort for us. We're going to do everything we can before we get to that point. That I don't believe that happens. When we send our kids out of our city, it's not like, and I don't want to sound like I'm trying to say that they're not doing a good job. I just don't think.
It's true.
Steve.
But they have the resources.
Go ahead, let him-
But towns like that have volunteer departments, and that's the reason why.
I mean, even what you're saying as far as bussing out, it should be something here. Bussing is great, and that's like the newest and the latest, and everybody love it. It's a waste of time, man.
Everybody.
You should be in your community. The amount of hours that we bus our kids around the state of Connecticut, it takes away from family. Your kid's getting home at 5, 6 o'clock at night. You don't have
Leaving
time.
at 5 in the morning.
You don't have time to. It's just. I mean, I won't get off on that tangent, but you're absolutely right. It should be something here for the kids here, and something that represent Hartford.
Well, and more so because of the stories you all just told. He's seen you walking. And he said, you need to be this fireman. Right? And so it was about being in the community, having access to firemen, having, the firemen having access to guys who may have not wanted to go to college. I don't know how you have that access if they're in Enfield and then they leave there and then they go home and you guys haven't been able to meet them and mentor them and you don't really know who, you know what I mean? So it should be in the community so we can begin to build those relationships and bridge the gaps between you know, some of the older leadership and the younger leadership and match them in a mentorship, right? Because that's what you said. You said it was your pastor from your church. You said Steve was at Al's, right? So there was access.
This, which leads us to a very important point, which we've been talking about, a location. Right now, we're actively seeking a building, a home of our own. As Steve has said, and he touched on this earlier, we've already had, 2 homes, Adams Street and Sisson Avenue. Both, one we lost to a fire, and the second, we just basically outgrew it. Situationally where it was just the parking was bad. It's just location. And anything in business, especially location.
Yeah, because you had wooden tap.
Not only it's just parking. Wherever you go within the city, you want to be able to pull up, park, whether it's your members or whether it's your supporters. You want to have an area where people can come and be comfortable. And that's one less thing you want people to worry about coming out.
And more importantly for me, I would like to see the Phoenix Society specifically have a building in which young people can walk by and see retired firemen, firemen who are currently working. They can see firefighters, Janice, firefighters, where we can see where we can see you all. You know, like you said, you guys used to be, when you was on the avenue, you would just see people. Well, guess what? They seen you too. You know what I mean? And so for me, you know, this is one of the things that the Voices wanted to do, is figure out a way that we can begin to, we believe in the mission of the Phoenix Society. We believe in all of how you guys have been very active in the community on various levels. We love seeing like the young cadets around you guys, and those are the things that we like to support. Actually, you are the first men that we allowed in our space. Well, besides Stan, but we don't let him talk. We don't. That's why he hadn't said nothing yet. But this is the first time that we've allowed men to be here, and it's because of what you bring. It's because you protect and serve. It's because you're passionate about mentoring and bringing other firefighters into the process and developing them to be good firefighters.
We want to be good men.
Good men and women, because you just checked me.
We want to be good men.
Okay, good men.
Being a good man is most important attribute a man can have, is being a good man.
Yeah.
Good man. If you're a good man, you'll be a good firefighter.
That's right. That's right. So what are some of them, Lionel? Because, you know, what are some of them things we can do?
Okay, you already started. Okay, the Voices of Women, and I'm proud to say, just graduated 2012 class, Community Emergency Response Team. And after the wake of the storms and all type of things that goes on when public service is depleted, we need volunteers, and the certs are very good. That's Community Emergency Response Team. So that's the beginning. Also,
11 of us became certified.
Yes. Out of about 58, I think we have in the city, and we have more classes coming up. You can contact the Hartford Fire Department if anyone's interested in joining CERT. Actually, we're talking about the home. We definitely need the home. We're a 501c3 organization, okay? We have funds. We definitely looking, we want to work with the city. We don't want to move outside the city. Definitely want to do something on the north end. In a perfect world, if we could partner with some group that's doing things with inner city kids, and we can have some training, and not only with firefighting,
so
we can do with police.
A space where everybody is like a one-stop shop.
We need something, and we need that black pages like we used to have, where we can go after work and connect, and different department heads and different people of power and different politicians to sit down and so our voices can be heard. Because as long as we scattered out like this, it's hard to get even our membership. I told you we got 54 out of 100.
But y'all do good. It should be duly noted too that the Phoenix Society, you know, we're talking about this in the capacity of firefighters, but I like, you know, we community folks. We like to highlight.
And that's how you can help. Why are we with the will? We're 501c3. We have a tax base,
and you're
amount of
active
money
in the
that we need to
community
give
without
out.
a building
so
already.
We need to reach out and find out who needs. We can't find out everything. We're not gonna come to it.
The building for me represents a place for OGs like me to to go to a place where folks is grown and sexy, number one. We all had that hoodie stuff going on. But we all, listen, we all hood rats. You know what I mean? But because you're a hood rat don't mean you have to be all hoodie. You know what I mean?
You could be grown and sexy.
Exactly, grown and sexy. Number two is that there needs to be, anytime I had a meeting, now y'all know I was on city council after I got off the fire, but when people wanted to meet with me, I said, come down to Phoenix.
Yeah.
And I did it for two reasons. Because number one, I wanted to make sure the organization got the exposure as, okay, this is a spot where the black politicians and the black grown and sexy folks hang out at.
And it was.
And it was. And number two, it's like Lionel's doing this smoke detector campaign now. If we have our own place, we can write our own grant. Get out right, but I'm saying if we had our own place, we can write our own grant and run that right out of that building. Neighbors should be able to come to a place that we're at and say, listen, I'm having problems with my furnace. Can y'all kind of give me something? See, when you have a headquarters and you're in a neighborhood and people know you about that kind of stuff, they show up and ask you things. The more people understand that what we about, they see who we are, but what are we about? Are we just a group that's gonna party on the weekends? Or we about trying to, you got a 12-year-old son? We got a little junior cadet program. You start bringing them around and so we can start getting him or her ready for this stuff. We got smoke detector. You got a smoke detector in your house? We got some back at our place. Come on by. That's what that building be. See, the building means for me, as I said, an OG, that I stay connected to my younger brothers and sisters. Because I'm always going to be connected to my community. But people ask me, well, I need a smoke detector. I said, call Lieutenant Thompson down at Special Service. I need my place inspector. I said, call Lieutenant Sharif up at the Fire Marshal's office. See, I see myself now as a facilitator. Because I know who to send y'all to when it becomes fire department stuff. But my interest and my concern is that sometimes the more successful we get as a people, the farther away we get from our people.
Well, that's why, this is why, it was when we was working with the fire department during the last storm, the northeastern storm, I think it was.
Storm Alfred in October.
We realized that we had a lot to learn from the fire department in terms of being more effective in getting our seniors out. Like, they have relationships with us or whatever, but there was other issues that we hadn't considered, right? Their candles and their windows and all of this other stuff, the circuit breakers that weren't certified, and these are things we learned through CERT training. And what I came away with that is that, and I'm not trying to say where you should have your building, and I think there should be a conversation with the mayor's office in terms of if there's other buildings that they're not using or how.
I've had that conversation. I've had that conversation with the tax guys. I want to know any properties that are going to be so they know. But again, I just don't want us to have any building. I want us to have a building that's going to fit our needs, because this will be our third building. I don't want to keep us moving.
And I definitely want to, I remember Fish Fry Friday.
Hell yeah.
So I want a Fish Fry Friday.
I want to get back to that.
I want to get back to that atmosphere. Yes, grown and sexy.
Even right now, the work that the Phoenix has partnered with the Voices of Women of Color to address some of the concerns of the Thompson's home. Like, I want to really have the audience understand that the Phoenix Society is diverse in community consciousness, right? That while their mission is to ensure that young firefighters grow up to be these men and women, right? Good men and women.
And study to get promoted.
And study to get promoted so they don't stay at a certain level. But they also have a duty to community.
Oh, without question.
Right? And that's very clear, right?
One of the quotes we have, not only with the Phoenix Society, but with the International Association of Black Professional Firefighters, is all I am, I own. I live internally in the red.
Oh, okay.
That's what
I
it's
like
about.
that.
We own.
I like that.
We serve.
We can't jack that. Y'all
Yes, you can. Yes, you
did y'all copyright that already? Is that trademark?
We share.
So I know Phoenix Society and the Voices will be kicking off their first event at the Tunson home in April. you should know that we met and presented to the 5th District Town Committee, who will also be participating in this. They're doing a full outreach strategy in their district. And so we're excited about these new partnerships in the 5th District, and we're excited about actually actively helping you guys put down whatever ideas we need to shop around, go to the city assessor's office, tracking and seeing where it is, getting with the Phoenix Society of figuring out where you want to be housed. We want to really be active in that process, because like this apartment, every third Saturday, women know they could come here and get, just similar like how we do at the Tunksons with the Depends and everything. They know they come here, they get toothbrushes or whatever. And all we ask you to do is be a registered voter, right? We don't want to know if you're on TNF. You know what I mean? We don't know what your food stamp rate is. We don't know if your baby father's in jail. All we want you to do is register to vote. You can have some tissue and some soap, basic necessities, and go ahead. It's important that the Phoenix Society has a space so that people can go, young people could go and say, man, you a firefighter? You look too young to be a firefighter. I want to be a firefighter. And you could pull him in and begin to develop him. Voice's whole mission is about developing real leadership. Right? We work on quality of life issues, but that's to use those issues to develop the person who's working on them, in hopes that we would have great leadership. Just like you all want excellent firefighters. We're tired of half-par leadership. Right? And so we think that given that our missions are similarly lined, we definitely look forward to our adventures to come. I'm excited about next month. Just so you know, the lady said no, they're not doing Pekino. We'll talk about that. They have some other ideas that they want to do with their money. Yeah, they was like, we ain't doing that. I said, okay, you can do whatever you want to do. But I want you guys to close it out. If it's one thing that we missed in our conversation, and I want to thank you all for coming. And like I said, this is so awesome and a good place to start. If it was one thing that you guys wanted to highlight about the Phoenix Society that you were doing, let me hear from you. What would that be? What do you want somebody to know that right now that y'all doing that people may not know?
Well, we're going to be doing something that we're trying to really get back to. Part of the things that we do, or one of the things that we do, is we give out scholarships. We'd like to get a packet out there, but we definitely like some strong candidates. There's money there to help you out. It might not be a lot, but it's enough to buy some books, get you situated for some college students that are going off to school next year. But we definitely want to get that out to the community, get that out to the high schools. And
do you want to tell the audience on how do they contact the Phoenix to be a part of that? Is it an application?
Yes, there is going to be an application process.
We'll drop them off at the schools if you want us to.
Also, we're going to at our annual event, we're going to be giving out a civilian award or an outstanding citizen award. It's called the Phoenix Award.
Awesome.
So we're also going to be actively seeking candidates to give that or to award that award to. I want to say, as the first vice president, I want to say thank you for having us and giving us an opportunity to come here and get our message out, or to get some exposure on some of the things that we do. I want to thank the other brothers for coming down. And like I said, we have a few things on the plate. April, there's a couple of things that we have planned with you. June, make sure you put that month also on your calendar.
I'm in the gym right now. I'm at the pool. I'm going.
We actually give out scholarships and awards during the dinner.
So Lionel, do you want us to pass out any applications for the scholar? We could drop a few to Weaver, Buckley. Is it for high school kids or?
Traditionally, we had in our bylaws that it was for City of Hartford schools, but being that we have so many magnet schools, it's almost impossible. So we stick with the big three, plus one more. Weaver, Hartford High, Buckley, and Prince Tech.
Oh, that works. I'm an alum of Prince.
Okay.
My mother didn't let me go.
So that's what we stick with the big three. Last year we gave out 4 scholarships. Buckley didn't come back with one in time. We got 2 from Weaver, 1 from Hartford High, 1 from Prince Tech.
Awesome.
So we have internal for the membership scholarships, but those external, you don't have to be a member.
Okay.
And I have the packets. Nope, we can get started.
We'll take care of that for you.
We should have all our stuff put together by the end of the week.
All right. Do anybody want? Cousin Steve, do you want to close us out?
I am
the legendary in the room. The legend.
The OG.
The OG fire blazer.
I think it is really important because as I sit here and I look at Chief Stewart right now, and as I said on that video, I'm the youngest guy at the table, so you know how old them guys are. And as I'm sitting there and I'm listening to these young brothers and I'm looking at those brothers, I was to those brothers what these guys are to me now. And I remember sitting at his knee along with other legends from Philadelphia and New York listening to their stories. But the thing that I remember most was that they took the time to make sure that I needed to know and have everything I needed to know and have to not just be a good firefighter, but to be a good man. Now, I can't attest to myself being a good man. You know, my children and my peers will attest to that. But I feel as though I have a responsibility to these guys to ensure that they have whatever they need to be and they've been successful, but I don't want them to stop it. I see these guys as chiefs of department. If they get to where I want them to be, one day they're going to leave our community and go to another community, but they're going to go to lead a fire department. But while they're here, each one has to reach one. Okay. Because that's how the Phoenix Society rolls. I mean, we ain't going to do no Madison Avenue advertising thing. We're going to go out, we're going to take you. And some folks are going to have to make believe they can be a firefighter. Because there's folks that can be firefighters that don't believe it. We're going to make them believe that. But it's our responsibility to ensure that we're represented not only in the fire department, but in our schools as teachers, on our police forces as police officers. Any agency that touches our lives, we need to be in. We need to be in. And we need to stop letting people tell us or convince us that we can't. Because it wasn't that long ago that they said black folks couldn't be firefighters because we didn't have the capacity.
And on that note, I want to say thank you all for enlightening us about the Phoenix Society. I'm excited. If you want to know more about how you can get involved in the Community Emergency Response Team, you can contact the Hartford Fire Department. It was a wonderful course. We learned a lot, if not even just to get it, because what we learned in there is do it to save your friends and family. So, you know, make sure everything here is okay before you go saving somebody else. And self-sufficient. So if you have any information about or any ideas on where the Phoenix Society, what buildings we'll be interested in hearing about, if you know about buildings, other spaces that we may have not seen yet, please send that information. You can contact us at info@vowc.org, or you could contact the fire department about CERT. And remember, in June, the long weekend of the Phoenix Society, fun, and contact them about your tickets. Thank you. Stay involved, and peace and love. Thanks, Stan.